What's up, fight fans? We all know you love quality fights, so it's our turn to cover the best UFC performances from this year so we can prepare for 2024. This year, cards were stacked, full of famous names and relentless action, and all of them battled in supreme matches in the notorious Octagon. So let's dive into it. UFC 284, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. At the beginning of the year, in February, we got a legendary match in Australia that will go down in the history books as one of the greatest of all time. The fearless featherweight king, Alexander Volkanovski, welcomed Islam Makhachev on his home soil in an attempt to become a double champion. Everyone was aware of the quality matchup, but the performances in both fighters exceeded all expectations. The boys stepped on the gas from the very start, and the war, which lasted 25 minutes, was action-packed, rocking each other early. In the first few minutes, you can see how both of them hurt each other, so of course, Islam scored 4 takedowns throughout the fight. But the featherweight king showed his wrestling defense was at an inviolable level, ending the first round with Islam on his back and a smile on his face. All aspects of MMA were present, and we could see who dominates in which field. The competitive conflict went back and forth, and the first round barely scratched the surface. Volk underestimated Islam's striking, and Makhachev underestimated Alexander's wrestling. Both were in excellent physical condition, and their gas tanks were out of this world. Everybody was so hyped up, and rightfully so. With a controversial decision, Makhachev won and defended his title, leaving many people surprised. But in essence, it was Alexander who surprised everyone regardless of the loss. He managed to finish the 5th round like none of Islam's opponents so far, in the top position, pounding Makhachev and inflicting a lot of facial damage, which can be seen at the judge's decision call-out. UFC 285, Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane. After 2 years of absence, we finally saw the fight of the great Jon Jones at the beginning of March. His opponent was the dancing Frenchman and former title challenger Ciryl Gane. Jon Jones' heavyweight debut was with the title on the line, and everyone experienced in MMA thought that Gane was a bad matchup for Jon. Everyone believed it except Jones, of course. The main event was eagerly awaited, but lasted very short to the general disappointment. It took Bones 2 years to come back and only a few minutes to finish the match and show why his IQ is one of the best in the world. Gane greeted him with an illegal kick to the crotch in the first 5 seconds, but Jones reset after a short break and decided to take matters into his own hands. All Bones needed was to get close enough to Ciryl and implement his game plan. That's how it was. With the first minute crossed, Jones slips, takes the back, and pulls the Frenchman into deep water. Jon, as a lifelong wrestler, did a great job keeping Gane under him, packing a guillotine that ended the match in just 1.5 minutes. What a superb performance for the GOAT, who proved that ring rust doesn't exist. We've been waiting for him for 2 years, and he only gave us 1.5 minutes of the match? Really, Jon? UFC 285, Shavkat Rachmanov versus Geoff Neal. In the same event headlined by Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane, there was a fight of the night bonus earned by Shavkat Rachmanov, an experienced UFC fighter, Geoff Neal. The match, as expected, did not meet the judge's decision and started hot, with Shavkat attacking relentlessly with Geoff showing crisp boxing. Clean shots landed every second from close range, where both fighters had success. Rachmanov managed to shake Neal with a great high kick and later with the sharp left, bringing trouble to the opponent who had no intention of surrendering. The leadership in the striking department belonged to the Kazakhstani, with the fact that Neal was in front of him all the time without any fear of shots. Even though Rachmanov brought issues to other fighters, Hands of Steel refused to be bullied. Shavkat delivered his usual good performance, while Geoff showed his toughness. From the beginning, he didn't stop moving forward, and in the 3rd round, he shook the Kazakh, who managed to survive. The American fighter suppressed 4 takedown attempts, but Rachmanov, being as crafty as he is, decided he didn't need his opponent on the ground to finish him with an unusual rear naked choke from a standing position in the last moments of the match. The two warriors delighted the fans with their mixed martial arts display and supreme performances. UFC Fight Night, Petr Yan versus Dvalishvili. The weigh-in passed, and the potential incident was avoided due to Merab's provocations and Yann's rough physical contact. However, on March 11th, it was time to settle the differences in the cage. After an unfortunate series of defeats, but with superb performances, former bantamweight champion Peter Yan returns against Merab Dvalishvili and is looking to return to the winning streak. Merab, on the other hand, comes to surprise everyone and justify his name, The Machine. We don't often see fighters give Yan a problem, especially not in a stand-up fight, but Merab impressed with the volume of punches, pressed relentlessly and consistently for 25 minutes. Dvalishvili outstruck Peter through 5 rounds with 7 minutes of control time. He put on one of the best performances of this year with his endurance and cardio, and to everyone's surprise, Peter had no answer. What is incredible in this match is the broken record for 49 takedown attempts by Merab, who managed to bring the Russian down 11 times. Dvalishvili was on fire, pushing the pace and going forward all night long. Peter, on the other hand, wasn't bad, but this night just wasn't his either, and the electric Georgian, who was in a fighting mood, was too much for him. Yann did not have room to breathe for 25 minutes, and it's a true wonder how Merab didn't get the performance of the night bonus with all the takedown assaults. UFC 286, Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Justin Gaethje made it clear it's the title he wants next, and nothing will stop him on the way. In the most violent match on this list, which earned a Fight of the Night bonus, the two merciless strikers collided on UFC 286. Justin's opponent was the young and hungry Rafael Fiziev, with a 6-fight winning streak against top competition in the lightweight division. On March 18th in London, the fighters charmed with their performance and warrior spirits. In an all-stand-up battle, they perfectly matched each other with a slight advantage for Gaethje, who, as usual, did a lot of damage. 15 minutes of violence with brutal and heavy blows brought absolute delight to all who watched. Fiziev excelled with speed and precision, and Justin's every shot echoed throughout the arena. Although Rafael had the advantage in the first round, it was not expected that Justin would take the lead in the second and third rounds. But he did. Neither of them slowed down, but Fiziev's head was getting worse and worse as Gaethje busted him open. The impressive performance of both of them led to the fact that Rafael was excellent, but Justin was much better. The match was competitive until the end, but the King of Violence secured a takedown in the third round to cement his victory. And later this year, he wowed with a knockout high kick over Dustin Poirier, securing himself a title shot because there's a reason they call him the highlight. UFC 288, Movsar Evloev versus Diego Lopez. Undefeated, Movsar Evloev is scheduled to fight Bryce Mitchell on UFC 288, who was forced to pull out 5 days earlier. Taking his place, the dangerous Brazilian Diego Lopez jumps in, making his UFC debut on short notice against a guy that everyone avoids, even with a full training camp. His warrior's heart enchanted both the audience and Dana White, who awarded Diego with a bonus after the first match regardless of the defeat. In the first round, Lopez managed to hurt Movsar in the punching exchange, showing that in addition to submission expertise, he also owns clean boxing technique. Immediately after that, he threatened with a leg lock and punched from the bottom position. Although Evloev scored control by being in the top position, he was busy defending against submission attempts by slick Diego, who proved to be a lively person even in the inferior position. He brought the punishment in the stand-up straight to Evloev, and although the Russian was a shade better, the question arises as to what Diego Lopez is like with a full camp. The answer to that question will be provided by the next 2 fights of Lopez in 2023, in which he excelled with a knockout and a submission in the first rounds. There is no doubt that Movsar will soon be a challenger for the featherweight title and that Diego Lopez will achieve top results for the rest of his career. What a way to introduce himself. UFC 293, Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. We left the sweetest match for the end and certainly the best performance this year by Sean Strickland, who also provided the major upset. At UFC 293, Strickland was given the opportunity to attack the middleweight throne of the dominant champion, Izzy Adesanya, which he succeeded in doing so to mass surprise. Sean not only defeated Israel, but dominated him in stand-up where the champion is the toughest, making him run for his money for 25 minutes. No one could have dreamed that out of so many killers in the middleweight division, Sean would be the man who would become champion. He entered the match rather nervously, but by interrupting one of Adesanya's attacks, he knocked him down, after which his confidence visibly increased. Israel could not solve the enigma of Strickland's awkward defense for the rest of the fight. Throughout the match, Sean forced the champion to move along the fence under pressure, and all he used were front kicks and classic 1-2 boxing techniques with the utilization of his jab. The highlight of the match, besides the knockdown in the first round, is definitely Strickland yelling and walking down Adesanya in the last 10 seconds before becoming the unexpected middleweight champion. What a performance, one after the other. We can only speculate what the continuation of careers will be for these fighters. We will surely watch them in a few more matches next year. Just like our videos, they won't disappoint you.